Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to tell you a short story, but don't let the word short fool you, because the lesson inside it has the power to change the way you think, speak, and live. This is a story about wisdom, ego, and the quiet strength of choosing peace over proving a point. It's called Be Wise, Not Right. There was once a young man named Armin who was known in his town for one thing above all else: he was always right. Or at least, he always proved himself right. In school, teachers admired his sharp mind. In debates, classmates feared facing him. At home, relatives avoided arguments with him because every small discussion turned into a long lecture. Armin didn't just share opinions, he defended them like battles that had to be won. To Armin, being right felt powerful. When someone disagreed with him and he proved them wrong, he felt taller, stronger, more important. It was like collecting invisible trophies that only he could see. Each argument he won added another trophy to his shelf of pride. One evening, Armin was walking with his grandfather through the old market street. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and gold. The road was busy, full of people, carts, and noise. Suddenly, a man pushing a cart bumped into Armin's shoulder. "Watch where you're going," Armin snapped. The man replied, "You stepped into my path." Within seconds, a crowd started forming. Voices rose. Accusations flew back and forth. Armin listed facts, angles, and reasons why he was right. The other man did the same, though with less logic and more emotion. The argument grew louder. Armin's grandfather gently placed a hand on his arm and said, "Let it go. Let's move on." Armin pulled his arm away. "Why should I? I'm right." The grandfather looked at him quietly but said nothing more. Eventually, the argument ended with both men walking away angry, hearts racing, peace broken. As they continued walking, Armin felt a strange heaviness inside. He had proven his point, but the victory felt empty. Still, he didn't mention it. A few days later, Armin and his grandfather visited a small village outside the town. The grandfather was known there as a wise and kind man. Everywhere they went, people greeted him warmly. They trusted him, listened to him, and smiled in his presence. At one house, a group of villagers were arguing about how to divide water from a small canal. Each person was convinced they were right. Voices were loud. Tension was thick. Armin watched closely, ready to jump in and solve the problem with logic. But before he could speak, his grandfather stepped forward. He listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't correct anyone. He nodded, asked gentle questions, and repeated their words back to them so they felt heard. Then he said something simple. "You all want the same thing. Enough water to live peacefully. Let's find a way where no one feels defeated." Within minutes, the argument softened. People began to compromise. Smiles returned. A solution was found. Armin was confused. Later, as they walked back, Armin finally asked, "Grandfather, some of them were clearly wrong. Why didn't you correct them?" The grandfather smiled and said, "Because my goal was peace, not victory." Armin frowned. "But if you're right and they're wrong, shouldn't you prove it?" The grandfather stopped walking and turned to face him. "Tell me, Armin. When you prove someone wrong, what do you win?" Armin answered quickly, "The truth." The grandfather nodded. "And what do you lose?" Armin hesitated. "Nothing." The grandfather chuckled softly. "Look deeper." That night, Armin couldn't sleep. His grandfather's words echoed in his mind. "What do you lose?" Over the next few weeks, Armin started noticing patterns in his life. Friends stopped sharing ideas with him because they didn't want to argue. Family members avoided serious conversations. Even when Armin was right, people walked away frustrated or hurt. He began to realize something painful: being right had built walls around him. One day at school, a classmate made a mistake during a group project. Armin immediately corrected him, pointing out every error. The classmate nodded silently but looked embarrassed. The teacher praised Armin for his accuracy, but the classmate barely spoke to him after that. That evening, Armin remembered his grandfather's calm voice. Peace, not victory. The next day, the same classmate struggled again. This time, Armin took a deep breath. Instead of correcting him publicly, he spoke quietly. I might be wrong, but maybe we can try this way together. The change was instant. The classmate smiled, relaxed, and worked harder. The project improved. And for the first time, Armin felt something better than being right. He felt connected. Days turned into weeks. Armin practiced listening more and speaking less. When disagreements came, he asked himself a simple question: do I want to win, or do I want to grow? Sometimes, he still chose to speak up. But he learned to choose his battles. He learned that silence could be strength. That understanding could be more powerful than correction. One afternoon, Armin sat again with his grandfather, watching the sunset. I think I understand now, Armin said. Being right doesn't always mean being wise. The grandfather smiled. Wisdom knows when truth needs a voice and when it needs compassion. Armin looked at the road ahead, long and uncertain, but for the first time, it didn't scare him. He realized that life wasn't a courtroom where every moment required a verdict. It was a journey where relationships mattered more than arguments, and peace mattered more than pride. From that day on, Armin still valued truth, but he valued people more. He learned that you can be right and still be wrong if you lose respect, love, or peace in the process. So remember this whenever you feel the urge to prove a point, to win an argument, or to show someone they're wrong. Ask yourself quietly, is this about being right, or about being wise? Because in the end, the world doesn't remember who won the arguments. It remembers who brought understanding, kindness, and calm. Be wise, not right.